Wihoka wi thayu episode ya muthenya wa umuthiri ngwendaga twarererie uhoro wa riri power of exposure. He kindu gitagwo talent, he kindu gitagwo calling na he kindu gitagwo career path. When we come to talent, uyu ni undu Ngai atumaga uciarwo naguo na woka guku thiri no wike na njira ya raithi muno we uniquely. He kindu gitagwo calling, uyu ni mundu wina the heart of compassion, ona atakuriho ugakora ni arenda gwika wega, and most of this ni twikaga triggered by what probably twanagerera tukauga tutingienda kuona mundu agithie through thina muturire-ini kana hateka-ini, na ni tutenyeraga muno kumuteithiriria. Na he kindu gitagwo career path. Career path ni riri ukoraga ni maundu maria tugeragira thukuru tukeruta, either ugatwika ndereba, ugatwika ndagitari. Maundu maya ni matushapaga to be who we become in future. So this is what we call the career path. Noana na maundu maya ri matingikinyanira utari na kindu gitagwo the exposure. Exposure ri niyo iteithagiriria mundu, you connect to the right destiny connectors, you go to where God ordained you to be through the exposure. Na exposure ri ni a learning tool, ni kindu riri kiria giguteithagia uka observe, uka learn, ukagia na the knowledge ya guguteithia riri o make the right decision, ya guguteithia riri you work hard, ya guguteithia riri you break some nutshells, you break some fears in life and be able to walk towards your destiny. Na niyo muthenya wa umuthi ndirenda to bisect niguo tuerewe riri the power of exposure. Tondu reke ngwire there are so many people right now mangiri handu hanene muturire-ini, they could be very successful, but because matire maramenya the power, the authority in exposure, nikio urakora mundu ucio ri no ahure gita wega muno, no egicagi, ona no ahure gukira handu angihura muthenya umwe thi othe muthikiririe, no handu gicagi-ini mundu ucio ri aikarite handu no kwimena, no kwinyarara, hema-ini icio cia kuga ndingihota, hema-ini icio cia kuga atiriri woi kwagaga mundu umwe ugoka kunduta thina-ini uyu ti ati ndangiruta, no tondu ndoi riri the power of exposure, ndoi he undu angika thi othe menye. Noana and ungikora nginya Bibilia-ini, you know, the power of exposure niwe iratuma riri Jesu, you know, create the first miracle ya turning water into wine. That exposure of going to the wedding in Cana of Galilee, mamu wao ri, and if you read this story ni ukuona atiriri Jesu ni ekaga miracles mucie kwao tondu the confident the mother have iria iratuma mwire atiriri no aria make sure mugwika uria Jesu akuga niguo tuone the wine. So she knew it very well na hari undu ekaga. But this exposure of this stage wedding, it was so crucial for Jesus to do this miracle. So ona akiamenya atiriri no eke wa mbere na riri amenye riri ihinda ni ikinyu, because arauga ihinda ti ikinyu, but I felt like the mother knew that this was due time for him, but probably he was fearing. Noana, and this is now it's the power of exposure. Noana, and sometimes we don't know the worth we carry in life, because tutiri twikarite na andu matura matuonaga tutingihota. You know, Jefithari ni guciaro in a family iria maramumena makamwira ni mwana wa mumaraya. That kind of a nutshell in a wire his subconsciousness akona ni worthless person. Even when he walks out of that family, arathi agaikara with worthless people. No ana andu matari na kiene nio marathi guikara nao, but ni njamba nene ya bara yaitengirwo bara muno nehotane. But that exposure sometimes, you know, ugeikara in a situations, in places whereby uraikara na andu they are so negative wera one gukwira ndungihota. Most of the time andu aingi maturite in that kind of scenario in their lives, me handu me hema-ini, me in a family circles of people either tau makorire na thina itha ugakora ringi ni micii ya njohi, we ukirona ndungihonoka, ndungitwika muhunjia, you can't move from that nutshell. Ako umite thina-ini we ndungiteithika, ugutura in that circle of poverty in your life, you know. And sometimes let me tell you, it needs boldness, it needs cutting the slack and saying, no, I'm tired of this kind of life. I am tired of this. I want to walk out, you know. And the devil know it very well. Shaitani ire ukoraga akonfainite andu in the fears mundu agakwira atiri ai ni ona ndiendaga kuma guku tondu ndiui ni kukungi ingigacira ndiui ni kukungi ingitheremera, you know. And these kinds of people I know na ndiraria uri because there are times in life whereby I felt like ndingiahotire kuma mucii and I used to feel like riu ndiririaga ki. I used to feel like thie njikare rental house gari hanabi eigie kaga bia, you know. These are things zenye zime constrain a lot of so many people. And let me tell you something, you know, reke gwire sometimes exposure on a way we model worthless in a well staged platforms and exposure. Reke gwire a certain kind of a scenario whereby you are going to understand this theory that I'm sharing today. Taru ngikora ando itongari, most of them mukoraga atiriri mangikorwo mena mwana uramathumbura either ni aranywa njohi kana ni arekondu, they know the power of exposure. Moyaga mwana wao ona no mamutware kondu ta US because they know mwana wao athie kuria ri he will be wired differently. Mundu uria mwonaga ni the worthless useless kind of a person hau to ni aranywa njohi na ni aragia family yao ri na nikio wonaga mamuoyaga makamutwara either kondu ta US to ni maramenya kuria ri the system and the structures nicio kuhota confine, they wire him differently. Ugakora mundu ucio ri by default that staged exposure ni amushenjia completely. Mundu ucio ugakora ni learn in the hard way. Nona, so exposure, it's a very vital tool. If you can be able to embrace it, if you can be able to take it. And let me tell you something, most of the time exposure na remo definaga your capability, your knowledge, you know, your investment at all cost. No woyone modo agutware hado. No, and let me just create a funny joke out of this. Ogeake rimore kemodi okeiga in the circle of advice. Okay, rethi hau no kire. Mundu ungi akihetoka hu akuga atiriri ndahetoka group ya doge maguikarite hado. Do you get the power of exposure? Mundu ucio ni kirimo no in the middle of wise people. No, but that stage exposure yako muiga with bright people no mwire okire, you know, gutire mundu ukumenya ni kirimo, gutire mundu ukumenya ti muge, but hau ri mundu wa gutwika transformed, wa go change, he can learn, he can observe, and that is the power of exposure. That is the power of exposure. And exposure kindu kia mbere reke ngwire, do you want to do a business? Do you want to start something? Don't be confined. Walk out. There is power of observation. Urenda kuiga duka electronics, go out. Akorwo ni Nairobi, thio gukorore all the electronics shops. Go and shop. Thio learn uria afagite aigeite indo ciake. You know, it will help you learn. You know, have open-minded of learning. You know, most of the time we are so confined with ati geigaga tukaka nini kanake. No, just go and learn. Do you want to do banking? Go. Diefegio nako oguthi na shiringi 250 or 500. Go. Just go and learn how they do the banking system, how they will carry you through the registrations, the opening of account and everything. Go and learn. You know, the way they carry themselves, the ethics, all sort of things you are going to learn. You know, and let me tell you something. Sometimes you may not give somebody anything because at times we feel like, oh, modoe wagokajia kugia demohebi ya kanake. You can trigger somebody by an exposure. No hote ko trigger modo. Na kaudo kani just giving that person an exposure. Woe mwana omutware tauni omwonie mwana ucio agukora wired augaga atiriri, I don't want to live in this village, but I want one day to go to the city. I want to be successful. I want to be this. I want to be this. You know? And let me tell you something. At times, nijaritie nado. Wakora mundu akwira atiriri, oh, misi kusoma. I don't think probably I can work abroad jobs or anything. There are people unaongeanga now and you feel like, God, I wish they know. And other countries, they have mastered this. You know, they have mastered this. Why should I waste my entire life earning 2,000 probably in this space here because of lack of exposure, but I can use the same energy. There are countries who are paying for manual labor work. There are countries who are paying that career jobs better, 3 times, 4 times of what you're earning at that point. Why should you live there with 200 or 2,000 in this particular place, yet there's another place that you can earn 5 times of what you're earning currently at this point? You know, and it's the same thing. No. So exposure is very crucial. And at times I've said this, don't think like whatever that you know. No, you know, we are wired with the system of our country probably. We think all the people, the graduates and everything, they are the people who can do that. But there is talent. You can have that talent. Right now we have mobile phones. You can sit down, record yourself. If you can sing so good, you don't need to go to studio. If you don't have money to sing to the studio to record your song, you just need a phone. Sing that good voice. Let the world hear. You'll be surprised there's somebody somewhere with a label, music label, anaweza kuchukua kuambia, no, you're singing so good. Kindly allow me to support what you are doing best, because I have seen that you have urge of this. You know, no, we get the moyaku in a field, you run 100, we get that record. They're interested with that record. Can you be able to break that record? Tell the world, I'm breaking the world record and I'm running 100 meters. This is the record that I'm doing today. You run. They're interested with that. You'll find somebody, a sponsor probably somewhere, will say like, okay, I need to tap this. We are failing sometimes because of lack of exposure. Exposure, it's a learning tool. Exposure, it's just ignited by the curiosity, you know, and the curiosity, let me tell you something. You see, some gifts, you see people wako nazo, not that they were meant to have, but because of curiosity. Curiosity pushes you to learn. And let me tell you something else, because a lot of content in our social medias which are biased and which are misleading, you know. Sometimes before, you know, you spend all your day, you know, on social medias probably trying to look for this and this and this. There are a lot of so many false advertisements and propaganda online, because there are people who are looking for certain niches to sell, and they know if they triggers you, you know, you know, scammy money making things. Don't be tempted on those things, because sometimes, you know, false sometimes shout louder than the truth. Learn, have a skills. There are so many, you know, free courses that you can learn online. You can learn, or you spend your several hours there, you learn a certain skill, you start now investing on real life situations. You know, these things are fair, but sometimes we fail because of lack of exposure. There are so many abroad jobs right now they are offering overseas applicants, but because we lack exposure, because we are there, you know, procrastinations, we are there wasting our time on social medias, probably with the propagandas and everything. Don't waste your time there. Sometimes those like politicians, they'll send some slogans around and you'll feel like it's the truth. Don't. You know, the first step of building the power of exposure is the curiosity. Do you want a certain kind of a direction? Do you want to go abroad jobs? Then start learning. What do I need? I need a passport. I need a good conduct. I need to know this and this and this. Sometimes there are people who would have got better jobs, but because they didn't do the due diligence of learning, they went in, you know. So the power of exposure is very crucial, you know. And this is what I'm telling you. I'm triggering you today to understand the power, the authority of exposure, you know. Exposure is very crucial. Wathiere, probably you sing so good, and sometimes on a new record your songs. Let me tell you this, and I know this will trigger you a lot. Tathiweke research ya kurore. Nona andu aria nginya ungikora gicagi, mama ukoraga mundu he's multi-talented. No arahura instruments, no aine wega muno, but mundu ucio ri he andu makuaga utakana igua rwimbo rwake. Why? No gakora he mundu he knew ona ndoi kuina ni igana ukoraga mundu ni kwandikirwo arandikirwo rwimbo, you know, ndoi nginya kuina, arathie studio akariha nginya mundu amurute kuina vocals nginya muinire we no bia ciake. You know, let me tell you something, the moment you lack exposure you will be exploited. Urikora mamundu ni agukuriha akuhuthere nona we aga shine through na nikyo wiwa ati andu ni maraio njata ni riri ni to he mundu gugu spot none we ona ndui, you know, ndui. Knowledge is power. The moment you know yourself, the moment you know your worth, ndungihota kuhinyiririo ni mundu, because what God has given us, he has given us very uniquely talents, very uniquely callings. You have your space. Tutigeni na niranyeki. The world is so vast, it need a lot of us. Each and every person, kila mundu ewe, God has crafted you uniquely. The way I'm giving out my content here on the YouTube, I'm different from somebody else. And God will make sure, as long as I'm authentic, as long as I'm following my path, as long as I'm following my purpose and my destiny, God will make sure there are people he will bring into my life who will tap what I'm saying. They will learn from what I'm doing. And I can only have relevant if I can put myself in front and allow God to use me as his vessel. And the moment you become that full investor, you know, you want to stay back, you don't want to use your talent, you don't want to invest what God has given you, you'll forever be there behind. You'll be a consumer, not because you can't. Kazi yako itakuwa to criticize, and that's why we have a lot of so many haters. People who have great, but they feel like the people who are on the screen, the people who are, they are hearing a lot. How many people do we see each and every day? They are doing a content whereby wanafanya the wrong thing, but you can do it best. But because you don't want to come in front, you don't want to do it on your own way out, which it's best for you, and you feel you can create an impact, kazi yako ni criticize. That's why we have a lot of so many bitter people in the world, because they don't know what they have and how they can exploit it. And you can only be pushed if you can learn curiosity, and if you can know that God has created me fearfully and wonderfully made. You know, Jesus Christ with his ministry, he's starting small, growing bigger to unstoppable position. You can start the same. And the Bible tells us that we can do more great things than what Jesus Christ did here on the universe, if we can only believe. You know, when you believe in yourself, no matter all sort of odds, you can always conquer. So today, I pray that God will impact you with the power of exposure. You are going to win. You are going to conquer. You are going to be out there, and you are going to do great. God bless you. Don't forget to subscribe on my YouTube channel. See you on the next episode. God bless you.